Hello everybody, my name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and they all can't be winners, can they? I am here to continue my tribute to Wes Craven, and I'm reviewing Swamp Thing, which is a 1982 film that was written and directed by Wes Craven, so you gotta give this guy credit for that. He usually writes and directs his films, especially the earlier stuff. This movie, the plot is we meet this Dr. Alice who goes to this facility out in the middle of the woods. She meets up with this other doctor, Alec Holland, and she finds out that him and his sister are working on these experiments where with plants they're able to almost use it to create a hybrid of something. I mean, they could splice it into humans and turn them into well, guess what? Swamp Thing, because there's this other doctor, Dr. Anton Arkin, who comes in and wants to use it for evil, of course, kills the sister, accidentally spills chemicals all over Alec Harlan, and turns him into this creature. So the Swamp Thing comes back not only for revenge, but to save Alice as well. Now, I was watching this movie, and I didn't really care for it. If you're wondering why would you review a movie that you don't care for as a part of a tribute to Wes Craven, well, for one, this is my first time watching this movie, so I kind of just took a gamble. And two, I know that there are people who like this movie, who look at it as a cult classic, or just this is how they know the Swamp Thing, and maybe they grew up with it. And I can respect that, I can appreciate that. There were plenty of bad movies that I grew up with too, and that I give leeway for later in life. But there are things about this movie that I like, so we can talk about that first. First and foremost is that just the idea that this movie got made in 1982. The Swamp Thing, I don't know how many people know this or are aware of this. The Swamp Thing is a character in DC Comics. Like, there's a line of comic books based and written around this character. And so technically this is a DC Comics movie. A superhero movie, you could say. You could say. It is rated R, though, a strong R. You have that one scene where Alice gets into the water topless. That was very appreciated. See, Wes Craven always looks out for his fans. He knows what we want to see. So there's that. Adrienne Barbeau as Alice. She was fine. She was okay. Ray Weiss as Alec Holland. He was okay too. I can appreciate his origin story, I guess, of sorts, of how he does turn to the Swamp Thing, because at first he's just this creature. He doesn't talk, and he's huge, he's ginormous. The suit looks a little cheap. It's kind of funny because you could tell it's not the same actor. It's some other big huge guy walking around. So that might be a little silly, but I appreciated the action. You know, you have a lot of moments where the Swamp Thing just comes out of the water, grabs some of these army guys, throwing them left and right. There's a scene later on, it's like a chase scene where it's explosions, the boats are flying off all over the place. Swamp Thing is kicking ass. So it's showing his brute force, stops one of the cars and just throwing people. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Obviously, it's all practical effects. And Wes Craven said he took this movie to prove to Hollywood that he wasn't all about those crazy horror films, really demented horror films that he became known for in the 70s. He wanted to try something different. He wanted to try something with a slightly bigger budget and prove some of his critics wrong. So all of that, you have to respect this guy and this movie for that. What I think this movie falls a little bit apart for me is that, well, yeah, the effects are pretty cheap. The villain is very cartoony, almost James Bond-like, and he very much wants this formula to be able to, I guess, turn people into creatures, including himself, because he turns himself into a werewolf. And then the end of the movie turns into the werewolf versus the Swamp Thing. And it probably sounds cool on paper, but just the werewolf costume, even more so than the Swamp Thing, looks really bad, very fake, and just, you could tell it's somebody in a suit. Now, how else are you going to do that in 1982? I don't know. But this is one of the few times where I can admit, and I could say, that I would like a remake to the Swamp Thing, because I do think there's something interesting here. I do think that we can do something with this. I really do think that what's holding this old movie back was the effects. It was made before its time. I did like the fact that Alice ends up sort of hanging out with this little black kid and he's there helping her out and stuff. And then there was a moment where the kid gets killed, and I couldn't believe it. I literally was like, oh my god, they killed the kid. Until you find out the Swamp Thing has this ability to heal people. Like, it touches him, and this green goo like goes onto him, and he's alive. So I thought that was interesting. Again, I didn't love this movie. I didn't even really like it, but there's things about it that I appreciate. There's things in it, and there's risk that Wes Craven took for the first time in his career that you have to like. But I can't say that I enjoy it. I have to be honest. Just because I'm doing these tribute reviews doesn't mean I'm going to lie and pretend like every single movie done by Wes Craven I love. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you have seen Swamp Thing. If you like it more than I do. Did you grow up with it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!